the silent barn. No one in the village had seen the baby dragons for weeks. People stopped talking about them after some time. Some said the dragons were dead. Some said the sky hunters took them away. Others believed the baby dragons were never real. Just old stories to scare children at night. But Evan, a simple human farmer, did not believe the stories were over. That night, the wind was slow and cold. Evan walked back to his farm after a long day. His boots were heavy with mud. His back hurt, and his hands were tired. The sun was gone, and the sky was dark blue. Then he heard it, a soft sound. It came from the old barn. Evan stopped walking. The barn had been empty for years. No animals, no tools, just old wood and dry hay. The sound was not loud, but it was not normal either. It was not a cow, not a bird, not the wind. It sounded like breathing. Evan held his lantern tighter and slowly walked toward the barn. Each step felt louder than the last. The door was half open, moving a little with the wind. The sound stopped. Evan stood still. "Hello," he said quietly. No answer. He pushed the door open. The lantern light moved across the barn walls. Dust floated in the air. Old hay covered the ground. Everything looked the same as always. Then Evan looked down. Something moved in the hay. His heart jumped. At first, he thought they were animals. Maybe dogs. Maybe wild cats. But then he saw the shape of a wing. Small, folded tight, shaking. Evan stepped closer, and then he saw them clearly. 3 baby dragons. They were curled together in the hay, sleeping close like they were afraid to be alone. Their scales were dull, not bright. Small cuts covered their bodies. One of them had a broken wing that did not move. They were breathing slowly, weakly. Evan could not move. Dragons were not safe. Everyone knew that. Dragons burned cities. Dragons destroyed worlds. Dragons brought death. But these were not monsters. These were children. One of the baby dragons opened its eye. It looked straight at Evan. The eye was large and golden, filled with fear and something else. Hope. The baby dragon made a soft sound, like a cry it was trying to hide. Evan swallowed hard. He should run. He knew that. He should close the door and forget what he saw. If the sky hunters found him here, they would not ask questions. But his feet did not move. Slowly, Evan kneeled down. "It's okay," he whispered, even though his voice was shaking. "I won't hurt you." The baby dragons did not move, but they did not attack either. Suddenly, a bright light passed over the barn roof. Evan froze. The ground shook slightly. A low sound came from the sky. Search ships. Evan had heard them before. Everyone had. The ships that looked for dangerous things. The ships that never came for peace. The baby dragons pressed closer together. The injured one made a weak sound. Evan stood up fast. Without thinking, he moved hay over the dragons, covering them gently. He blocked the light with old wooden boards. His hands shook as the sky outside grew brighter. The sound above the barn became louder. A voice echoed in the distance, cold and mechanical. "Target scan incomplete. Continue search." Evan held his breath. The light stayed for a long moment. Then it moved away. The sound slowly faded. Silence returned. Evan fell back against the wall, breathing hard. He looked at the hidden dragons. They were still there, still alive. Evan knew something now. These baby dragons were not lost. They were hiding, and someone very powerful was hunting them. Evan walked to the barn door and closed it carefully. He locked it from the inside. Then he looked back at the hay. "I don't know why you are here," he whispered, "but I won't let them take you." Outside, the stars moved quietly. Inside the barn, 3 baby dragons slept, safe for the first time in weeks. And without knowing it, one human farmer had just made a choice that would change the galaxy forever. The choice beneath the hay. Evan did not sleep that night. He sat inside the barn, his back against the wooden wall, the lantern turned low. Every small sound made his heart jump. The wind, the insects, even his own breath. Under the hay, the baby dragons were quiet. Too quiet. Evan slowly moved closer and lifted the hay just a little. All 3 were still there, still breathing. The injured one shook in its sleep, its broken wing twitching in pain. Evan clenched his jaw. "They're hurt," he whispered, "and I don't know how to help." At first light, the village woke up. Evan heard voices far away. People talking, people laughing. Normal life. No one knew what was hidden in his barn. No one knew what danger had come to his land. He covered the barn door and walked to his house like nothing was wrong. But the sky was not normal. Long shadows moved above the clouds. Silent. Watching. Evan felt it in his bones. They were still searching. By noon, villagers came to his farm. "Did you hear the ships last night?" one man asked. "They say the hunters are close," said another. "Something big is hiding." Evan kept his face calm. He nodded. He said nothing more. That night, the baby dragons woke up. One by one, they crawled out from the hay. Weak. Slow. Their eyes followed Evan everywhere. The smallest one tried to stand and fell. Evan rushed forward. "Easy," he said softly. The dragon looked at his hands. Its tiny claws burned his skin when they touched him. Evan did not pull away. He brought warm milk in an old bowl. At first, the dragons did not move. Then the injured one smelled it and slowly drank. The others followed. They were starving. Evan watched in silence. Dragons were not supposed to need humans, but these ones did. Later that night, the barn lights went out. The lantern died. Darkness filled the space. Then Evan heard a voice. Not with his ears. Inside his head. Human. Evan stood up fast. "Who's there?" he whispered. The voice came again. Weak. Young. He did not run. Evan looked at the baby dragons. The injured one was watching him. "You can talk?" Evan asked. "Not with mouth. With heart." Evan's hand shook. "Why are they hunting you?" he asked. The answer came slowly. "We're not pets. We are not wild. We are weapons." Evan felt sick. The galaxy fears what we will become, so they take us before we grow. Evan looked at the small bodies. The broken wing. The scars. "Then why not fight back?" he asked. The dragon's eyes dimmed. "We are too young, but you are not." A loud sound cut through the night. Metal touched ground. Evan ran to the door and looked outside. Lights. Soldiers. Scanners moving across the fields. A cold voice echoed from the ship. Unregistered life signs detected. Evan's blood ran cold. The baby dragons cried softly. Evan had seconds. He could step outside. He could tell them everything. They would take the dragons away. They might spare him. Or he could lie. He could hide. He could lose everything. Evan slammed the door shut. He pushed old machines, boxes, and wood against it. He covered the dragons again and stood in front of them. The scanners stopped near the barn. A shadow blocked the moonlight. The voice spoke again. "Human, open the structure." Evan swallowed. "This is just a barn," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Nothing here but dust." Silence. Then footsteps. Closer. Evan stood still. Behind him, the baby dragons pressed close. A scanner light cut through a crack in the wall. It stopped on Evan's chest. Then something strange happened. The injured baby dragon touched Evan's back. A warm feeling spread through him. The scanner blinked. "False reading," the voice said. "Area clear." The footsteps moved away. The ship lifted into the sky. The barn was silent again. Evan fell to his knees. He understood now. This was no accident. The baby dragons had chosen him. And by protecting them, he had chosen a side. A side the galaxy would never forgive. When the sky started watching, the next morning felt wrong. The sun rose, but the light felt cold. The air was too quiet. No birds. No insects. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. Evan stood near the barn, holding a cup of water. He had not slept. Every sound from the night still echoed in his head. The dragons were awake. They were stronger now. Still small, still hurt, but their eyes were sharper. Smarter. They watched everything Evan did. Evan poured water into a broken bowl. The smallest dragon tried to drink and failed. Evan helped it slowly. "You're getting better," he said. The dragon looked at him. "Because you stayed," the voice said inside his mind. Evan froze. "You're my head again," he whispered. "Only when danger comes," the dragon answered. Evan felt a chill. "What danger?" The dragon did not reply. Instead, all three dragons turned their heads toward the sky. Evan followed their eyes. High above the clouds, something moved. A black shape. Too smooth. Too still. A watcher ship. Evan stepped back. "They found us," he said. The ground suddenly shook. Far away, a loud explosion echoed. Smoke rose near the edge of the village. Evan ran toward the fence and looked. A patrol ship landed near the homes. Soldiers walked out. Tall, cold, not human. Villagers gathered, scared and confused. A loud voice spoke through the air. Attention, we're searching for dangerous biological weapons. Weapons. Evan's chest tightened. They're talking about you, he whispered. Yes, the dragon replied. And about you. Evan turned back fast. Me? Humans do not protect dragons, the voice said. That makes you dangerous. That night, the patrol came closer to the farm. Lights moved across the fields like eyes. Evan hid the dragons deeper under the barn floor. He broke the old wood with shaking hands, opening a hidden space below. Hurry, he whispered. The injured dragon struggled. Evan lifted it. Its body burned his arms. His skin blistered. He did not scream. You're not alone, he said through the pain. Footsteps came closer. Metal boots on dirt. A soldier stopped outside the barn. The door shook. Human farmer, the cold voice said. Step outside. Evan stood still. Behind him, the dragons pressed together. He opened the door slowly. Two soldiers stood there, weapons glowing. Have you seen anything unusual? One asked. No, Evan answered. The soldier's helmet tilted. You are lying. The weapon lifted. Evan's heart pounded. Before the soldier could fire, a loud roar shook the sky. Not from a barn, from far above. A deep, angry sound. The soldiers looked up. The watcher's ship trembled. A massive shadow passed through the clouds. The air burned. What is that? One soldier shouted. The shadow vanished. Silence returned. The soldiers stepped back. Retreat, the voice ordered. This area is unstable. They left. Evan closed the door and fell to the ground. What was that? He whispered. The dragons slowly crawled out. The injured one looked at him. Someone answered our fear. Evan stared. Another dragon? Something older, the voice said. Something angry. The smallest dragon suddenly climbed onto Evan's shoulder. It placed its head against his neck. A warm feeling filled Evan's chest. Images flashed in his mind. Fire. Stars. A human standing in front of dragons. Evan gasped. What did you do? He asked. We bonded, the dragon said. Evan pulled back. Bonded? If you fall, the dragon replied, we fall. If we die, you die. Asterisk. Evan's breath stopped. You should have told me, he said. You would have still stayed, the dragon answered. Evan laughed weakly. Yeah, he said. I would have. Outside, the sky darkened again. But this time, it was not hunters watching. It was something else. Something waiting. And deep in space, a message was sent. Human involvement confirmed. The galaxy had noticed the farmer, and it would not look away again. The night the farm fought back, the warning came too late. Evan felt it before he saw it. The air around the farm grew heavy, like the sky was pressing down. The ground vibrated under his boots. The baby dragons lifted their heads at the same time. Their eyes glowed faintly. They are coming, the voice said inside Evan's mind. Hunters? Evan asked. No, the dragon replied. Executioners. The lights appeared without sound. 5 ships dropped from the clouds, black and sharp like blades. They hovered above the fields, blocking the stars. The village sirens began to scream. People ran from their homes. Some fell to their knees. Others hid. Evan stood in front of the barn. This ends tonight, he whispered. The barn doors exploded inward. Wood flew across the room. Evan was thrown to the ground. Smoke filled the air. Figures walked through the broken doorway. Tall, armored. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. Human Evan, a voice said. Calm, cold. You are charged with harboring galactic weapons. Evan pushed himself up. They're children, he said. There is no such thing as a dragon child, the voice replied. Only unfinished destruction. Behind Evan, the baby dragons hissed. The injured one tried to stand and failed. The soldiers aimed their weapons. Step aside, the voice ordered. You will survive. Evan did not move. No, he said. Silence. Then the voice changed. Kill the human. The weapons powered up. Before they fired, the barn shook violently. The ground cracked. A deep roar exploded from beneath the farm. The earth burst open. Fire shot into the sky. The soldiers staggered back. From the broken ground rose something impossible. a massive shape of fire and scales. Not a full dragon. Not yet, but far bigger than the babies. The baby dragon screamed, "Mother!" The half-formed dragon roared again and slammed into the soldiers. Weapons shattered. Armor melted. The executioners fell back, shocked. "This is not possible," the voice said. "The queen is light years away." The half-dragon turned toward Evan. Its eyes burned bright gold. Not angry. Protective. It placed itself between Evan and the soldiers. Evan stared in disbelief. "You came for them?" The voice inside his head answered. "She came for you." The ships in the sky opened fire. Energy blasts hit the farm. Fields burned. The barn collapsed. Evan was thrown again, his vision spinning. The baby dragons cried out. Without thinking, Evan crawled forward, shielding them with his body. A blast hit his back. Pain exploded through him. He screamed. The smallest dragon screamed louder. Something snapped. A burning force rushed through Evan's chest. He stood up slowly. Fire wrapped around his arms. The soldiers froze. "Impossible," one whispered. "Human nervous systems cannot." Evan raised his hand. The fire answered him. A wave of heat slammed into the soldiers, throwing them across the field. The ships above pulled back. "Retreat," the voice shouted. "Human has bonded fully." The half-formed dragon roared in victory. The ships fled into the clouds. Silence fell again. The farm was gone. The barn was ashes. The fields were burned black. Evan dropped to his knees. The fire faded. The baby dragons crawled toward him, touching his hands, his face. "You are hurt," the voice said softly. "I'm fine," Evan lied. He was not. The half-formed dragon lowered its head close to him. Its massive eye watched him carefully. Then slowly it bowed. Evan froze. Dragons did not bow to humans. Not ever. A new voice filled his mind. Deep, ancient, powerful. Human Evan. You stood when stars would not. You burned when gods would not. Evan swallowed. "I just didn't want them to die," he said. The voice softened. "That is why the galaxy will fear you." High above, hidden signals spread through space. Messages reached distant worlds. A human has bonded with dragonfire. A farm resisted executioners. The old balance is breaking. And this time, humanity was no longer watching from the ground. When the queen finally spoke, the sky did not return to normal. Hours after the battle, the clouds stayed red, like they were burned from the inside. The village was silent. No lights, no voices. People watched from far away, too afraid to come close to the ruined farm. Evan lay on the ground where the barn once stood. His body felt heavy. Every breath hurt. The baby dragon stayed close to him. One rested its head on his chest. Another curled near his arm. The injured one did not leave his side at all. The massive dragon's shape still stood over them. It did not move. It did not breathe. Slowly, the fire around it faded. Cracks formed along its body. Then, like burning stone cooling, the great shape began to break apart. Evan forced himself to sit up. "What's happening?" he whispered. "She cannot stay," the small voice replied. "Not yet." The giant form collapsed into light. The ground stopped shaking. Only the 3 baby dragons remained. And then, the sky opened. Not with fire, not with violence, with silence. The clouds pulled apart in a perfect circle. Stars appeared, bright and sharp. Space itself seemed to bend. Something descended. Not a ship, not a weapon. A presence. Every living thing felt it. Villagers fell to their knees miles away. Machines shut down. Even the wind stopped. A colossal dragon emerged from the light. Her scales were like living stars. Her wings covered the sky. Her eyes held centuries of pain, wisdom, and rage. The dragon queen had arrived. The baby dragons cried out in joy. "Mother." She lowered her massive head, touching each child gently. Then her gaze turned to Evan. Evan tried to stand. His legs failed. He knelt instead, his head down. He expected death, fire, judgment. Instead, nothing happened. The queen stepped closer. The ground bent under her weight. She studied him in silence. Then a voice filled Evan's mind. Not loud, not angry, heavy. "You are small." Evan swallowed. "Yes," he said. "I know. You are weak." "I was," Evan answered. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly. The galaxy hunts my children. Entire worlds turn away. But you did not. Evan looked up. They were scared, he said. That's all I saw. For a long moment, the Dragon Queen said nothing. Then she did something no one in the galaxy had ever seen. She lowered her head. Not an attack. In respect. You bled for them. You burned for them. You stood alone. Evan's chest tightened. I didn't do it for power, he said. I just stayed. The queen's voice softened. That is why you're dangerous. Above them, hidden fleets watched. Alien commanders listened in fear. This is it, one whispered. The queen will erase the planet. But she did not. Instead, the Dragon Queen spread her wings wide. Her voice echoed across space. Hear me. This world is claimed. Not as territory, as family. A shock wave of energy spread outward. Satellites shut down. Weapons failed. Alien ships lost control and fled. Across the galaxy, a single truth spread like fire. Earth was no longer prey. The queen looked back at Evan. The children must leave, she said. They are not safe here anymore. Evan's heart sank. I understand, he said quietly. The baby dragons cried, clinging to him. The injured one pressed its head against his chest. You are home, the small voice said. Evan closed his eyes. Then go, he whispered. Live. The queen leaned closer. This is not goodbye. She touched Evan's forehead with one massive claw. A mark burned softly on his skin. Not pain. Warmth. Connection. When humanity stands alone, we will answer. Light surrounded the dragons. They vanished with their mother into the stars. The sky slowly returned to normal. The farm was gone. The barn was gone. But Evan was still there. Alive. Marked. Chosen. And deep in the halls of alien power, a new rule was written. Never underestimate a human who chooses to protect. The human the galaxy could not erase. The fire was gone. The sky was calm again. But peace did not return. Evan stood alone on the burned land where his farm once stood. Ash covered the ground. Broken tools lay everywhere. The barn was only black wood and dust now. The village stayed far away. They watched him from a distance. No one came close. Not because of fear of dragons. Because of fear of him. Evan felt strange. His body was weak, but something inside him felt awake. Like a quiet flame that never slept. The mark on his forehead was warm, even in the cold air. That night, Evan did not go home. He sat on a broken fence post and waited. He did not know for what. He only knew it was not over. Far above Earth, hidden beyond human sight, alien councils argued in panic. A single human bonded with Dragonfire, one voice said. That should be impossible. He disrupted an execution fleet, another replied. Without training, without weapons. Screens showed images of the farm battle. Evan standing in front of the soldiers. Fire in his hands. Silence followed. Finally, a decision was made. Send observers, the leader said. Not soldiers. Why, someone asked. Because if we send soldiers, the leader answered, we may not get them back. 3 days passed. On the 4th night, Evan felt it again. The pressure in the air. The watching. He stood slowly. Lights appeared near the old road. Not ships. Small craft. Quiet. 5 figures stepped out. They looked human, but they were not. We are not here to fight, one said calmly. We are here to talk. Evan crossed his arms. You already tried killing me, he said. The figure nodded. That was a mistake. Evan laughed once. A lot of people died for that mistake. The figure looked at the burned land. Yes, it said, and that is why the galaxy is afraid. The figures explained everything. The dragons were not monsters. They were balance. Where dragons existed, war slowed. Empires fell apart. Fear kept power in check. That was why the galaxy hunted the young. Kill them early. Control the future. And now? Evan asked. Now, the figure said, you are a problem. Evan's eyes hardened. I didn't ask to be. No, the figure agreed. But you became one. The figure stepped closer. You could be protected, it said. Given land. Power. Safety. Evan shook his head. I already chose, he said. The figure paused. Then others will come, it warned. Stronger ones. Smarter ones. Evan looked up at the stars. Tell them, he said quietly, they're late. The ground trembled slightly. Not an attack. A reminder. The figure stepped back. This human is still bonded, one whispered. They left without another word. Days later, humans arrived. Not soldiers. Officials. Scientists. They asked questions. Took scans. Measured the mark. Nothing made sense. One scientist said it softly. He changed the rules. News spread across Earth. A farmer stopped an alien execution. A human stood between children and the galaxy. People argued. Governments panicked. But one thing became clear. Earth was no longer invisible. That night, Evan stood alone again. He felt a presence. Familiar. Warm. A small voice touched his mind. We are growing. Evan smiled slightly. I figured, he said. You will not be alone, the voice promised. Evan looked toward the sky. He did not know when they would return, or how bad the next threat would be. But he knew this. The galaxy had tried to erase a human. Instead, it had created a warning. And somewhere out there, powerful beings were whispering a new truth. If humans choose to stand, even dragons listen. The day the stars learned the name human. The night was clear. Too clear. Evan stood on the hill above his ruined farm. The land below was quiet. No ships. No lights. No voices. The village slept again, but the fear had not left. The galaxy was holding its breath. Evan felt it in his chest. The mark on his forehead burned softly. Then it burned hot. Evan dropped to one knee. The sky split open. Not with fire. Not with light. With silence. Stars disappeared. Space itself bent like glass. Something massive moved between worlds. Far across the galaxy, alarms screamed. This is not a dragon fleet. This is not an invasion. This is worse. On Earth, satellites went dark. Power grids failed. But Evan stood. He did not run. He did not hide. The air above him twisted, and a shape formed. Not a ship. Not a dragon. A gate. And through it came a being of pure energy and ancient metal. A star judge. Older than empires. Older than dragons. Its voice crushed the air. Human Evan. The name echoed across the planet. You altered galactic balance. Evan swallowed. I protected children, he said. The judge's many eyes burned. Your intent is irrelevant. A beam of energy formed in the sky. Villages below screamed. The judge spoke again. By galactic law, this species is unstable. Earth will be silenced. The beam charged. Evan raised his head. No, he said. The ground cracked beneath his feet. Fire rushed through his veins. The mark exploded with light. Evan spread his arms. Behind him, the sky answered. A roar shook the universe. The stars returned. And with them, dragons. Not 3, not 10, hundreds. They poured from hyperspace like living fire. Ancient, massive, scarred by war. At their center flew the Dragon Queen. Her voice thundered across space. You judge without standing. You threaten what is protected. The star judge hesitated. Dragons do not choose sides, it said. The queen's eyes locked on Evan. We already did. She turned back to the judge. This human stood when galaxies hid. This human bled when gods watched. If you erase him, the dragons spread their wings. The sky burned. You erase us all. The judge calculated. Time slowed. Across space, alien empires waited. Then the judge lowered its weapon. Judgment suspended, it said. Humanity is noted. The gate closed. The sky healed. The dragons roared in victory. One by one, they vanished into the stars. The queen lingered. She lowered her head to Evan. Your kind will change everything. Evan looked up at her. We already are, he said quietly. She touched his forehead once more. The mark faded into a scar. When a final war comes, she said, humans will not stand behind dragons. They will stand beside us. She vanished. Morning came. The sun rose on a changed world. Evan returned to the village. People watched him with new eyes. Not fear, respect. Across the galaxy, history was rewritten. Not about dragons, not about war, but about a moment when the universe learned a dangerous truth. Humans do not need claws. Humans do not need fire. When humans choose to protect, even the stars step back.